Hello, everybody. My name is Kelly Higgins. I am the Executive Director for the Autism Community Connection. Welcome and joining us. Just letting you know, we have some events coming up. We have our trunk or treat coming up on October 19th. And then we also have our Breakfast with Santa in December. So today, as I'm talking about these holidays, it's the holiday season and it's coming up and it's time to prepare. So we got Amy Moore Gaffney with us today, and she's going to talk about, tips on preparing for the holidays. Amy, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Kelly, so much for inviting me. I appreciate the opportunity to we're gonna talk about some ideas and try to cover a lot of different ages and a lot of different needs. So I will jump right into it. My name's Amy Moore Gaffney. I'm an educational consultant and a speech language pathologist with the Indiana Resource Center for Autism. And I grew up in Johnson County, so that is my stomping ground. And I live in Johnson County still with my husband and my daughter, who has some multiple disabilities. So I'm not only going to be talking to you as a professional today, but also as a parent who uses a lot of these strategies to support my family as well. So we are going to talk about just tips for preparing for lots of holidays. I'm going to give you lots of examples. I just talked with Kelly and I told her I will give her a copy of this presentation. So if she can send that out to people as a PDF or something, you can always look back at it, pictures and things on your computer if you need to refresh your memory about some of the ideas. So, why are holidays so challenging for many of us? It's wonderful to have that holiday break coming up. It's great to be able to see friends and family, but there's also that sense of anxiety that comes with holidays sometimes. And I think there's a couple of reasons why, and I want to give you some suggestions on how to overcome some of those challenges. So the first thing is holidays bring with them a change in routine. Some of us look forward to that change in routine. We're so glad when holiday break comes and we don't have to go to work for a week because we might get a week off at Christmas or we're taking some time off. It's a time for not having to go to work or going to school, and that can be very exciting, and we look forward to that. But it also comes as a change in routine, and we know for many of our kids and even young adults, anyone who struggles with needing that structure and routine to feel comfortable in what their day is going to look like and what's going to be happening and what those expectations are, that change in routine can be very anxiety provoking. We're unsure of when something might happen. So all of a sudden, my normal, regularly scheduled day, as far as I go to first period, second period, third period, lunch at school, all of a sudden, I don't know what time lunch is going to be. It's Thanksgiving. What's going to happen? This, day after Thanksgiving, we all kind of sit around and we do different things, or we go shopping, or we play games, and I'm not sure what time anything's happening anymore. So that can be a little bit of a challenge. Sensory issues, sensory overload on some of these holidays. We've got the sounds of the 4th of July. You've got the smells of Thanksgiving. You've got all the talking and the gift giving and the social expectations and the sounds of Christmas and Christmas carols and the lights and just everything. All of the holidays bring wonderful sensory experiences, but it can be an overload for some people. A difficulty predicting what will happen. Like I said, we might be in a different place. We might be with different people. We're just not quite sure how things are going to go because it's not our routine. It's out of the ordinary, and that can be challenging. And then finally, there's new people. There's different experiences that we might have. We might be seeing, friends and family that we just haven't seen in a long time, so we're not quite as comfortable with them. We might be doing different things. Maybe it's Labor Day weekend, and we're going to get together with people and go out on a boat, and we've never been on a boat before. And so, what is that experience going to be like? So there can be lots of challenges that come along with these wonderful opportunities that we have during the holidays. So, what are some strategies that we can use to help, like I said, our kids, our families. These are some of these strategies are for parents, not just for our kids, because we know that if you're like me, when the holidays come around and I have lots of things to remember to do, and I'm also off of my schedule, and then so I can get overwhelmed a little bit. I can start to feel some of that anxiety. So we want to make sure that we are prepared as well, so that we can support our kids in the right way. And these strategies, a lot of them are lifelong strategies. Whether you are supporting your 3-year-old to get through that Thanksgiving dinner, or you want to help support, um, a 30 or 40-year-old family member who might have some anxiety and some challenges and some sensory needs during the holiday. All of these strategies can be helpful at any age. So try to keep that in mind. So I'm not really talking about a specific age group. I'm really talking about what are their needs and how can we support them. So the first thing that I want to go right to is that calendar. We need visual reminders of what's coming up. And so this is a great thing to use throughout your year. It helps kids, know what's going to happen, have your own calendars, whether it be a printed calendar or you have a big one that you keep on the paper calendar that you keep on the wall. The pink calendar that you see on the screen there, that's from the dollar store. And I just took and I printed off, or you can even cut little pieces of paper and just write on them and make schedules for your kids or make calendars for your kids. And they can put what's important. So first day of school, in my house, I think I would consider that a holiday. Um, First day of school is important to put on there, and just different activities. So in this case, on the white calendar, you'll see, Labor Day is coming up. So we want to make sure that we know what holiday, what day it's going to be. But then also don't forget about the other things that your kids might need to know, like when is soccer practice? When do I have a dentist appointment or an eye doctor appointment? School schedule might be off. So on Monday, there's no school. Instead, we're going to have a barbecue. We're going to have a cookout. So I just grab Google Images, and I can make a chart on a Word document and I can just plug things in. Kids can help if you want to cut out the pictures and they could glue them on or something so that they can just have a sense of what their week. We always want to think about their day, their week, and their month. Those are some big things. Those are the big days that we can help learn about, because I know I have to look at the schedule or in my calendar many times a day, and so do our loved ones and the people in our family. So create a calendar with all of your special events around the holidays, especially, and have that up on the wall so you can check it regularly. The amount of advanced warning that you need to give depends on your child's needs. So some kids, they need a lot of prep. We might want to start, a month in advance preparing for Thanksgiving. Christmas is coming. I mean, they're going to hear about it. The weather's changing, school themes and things are changing. But some kids need a lot of advanced warning so they can be prepared. Other kids, that can actually lead to more anxiety because they're worrying about it or thinking about what might be happening. So you might be a family who just needs to know that, hey, October 31st is Halloween. It is every year. But we might start talking about Halloween just a couple of days before versus August or October 1st, because it will cause too much anxiety if we dwell on it for too long of a period of time, if that makes sense. So your child, your loved one. Think about what's a good amount of time to start preparing. And then you need to make a plan with your family and friends. So this is one of the biggest tips that I can give to parents. And like I said, as a parent myself, it gives me a sense of, I know what the expectation is. Now I know what's going to happen so I can support my family, my kids. Talk about activities and expectations with your family. Are you guys going to be together for a couple of days? Are you going to be, where are we staying? What's the plan? If you're staying in someone's home, where are you going to be sleeping? Like, even details like that are really helpful, because then you can let your children know what the plan is. You need to know what to bring. making sure that, you don't have all of those anxiety provoking trips to Target that we always have to have because we forgot these much needed items. So you want to help, it's going to help you plan. And then also it's going to give you time frames. So you need to know what is that expectation, I mean, things may change, but give you a really, beginning idea of, are we talking a day, a couple of hours, a few days? So really make a plan, and then you can communicate this with the adults in your home, grandparents, spouses, just so that all the adults kind of know what that expectation is. That's very helpful. All right. Then once we know what the plan is, we have that plan, the expectation, make a personal schedule for each day. And so that might just be something that you put on the refrigerator. You see, like I have those two blue strips with some pictures on them. Some kids, you might just write it out and they won't need the pictures. But making that schedule, we're going to have breakfast, then you're going to take your medicine, then you're going to brush your teeth, then you're going to get dressed. And notice those are just hanging on magnets. So I can take those schedules with me to any location that I'm going to. I can take the schedule to the hotel. I can take the schedule to grandma's house. We've got those, if you'll notice, kind of, if you can see my pointer here, I've got some bags here. So maybe after we get dressed, we're going to do a little shopping. And then there'll be some playtime and we'll eat lunch at home. It's time to take a nap or a rest time. Then we're going to take the dog for a walk, have a snack, and then it's time to wrap some presents. So this might be a schedule that I use for one of the days leading up to Christmas Day. Then I'll have some playtime, some dinner, and we'll watch some TV after dinner. But it gives kids who don't have that solid routine and schedule that they really thrive with on the school days. This is really great for you to use at home on days your kids aren't at school, because there's some things that aren't so expected and they might get overwhelmed and be concerned because they're not quite sure how the day is going to go. Here's just another couple of examples. If you want to create a schedule for your child or for someone that you're supporting, you can do like a first, next, then schedule. So maybe if we're getting ready to go on a trip, first we need to run to the bank to grab some cash. Then we're going to go to the grocery store, buy some snacks for the road, and then we're going to go home. So you could have that on a little card or something, an index card that you would take with you in the car, just so that people know kind of what the order of events are. And again, I wanted to show you that blue pocket folder. That's a dollar store find. And those are just Google images, again, that I printed off, and I just put the cards in order so that we can make a schedule at home. Sequence of events are also helpful. So sometimes we have people that we are, loved ones that we are wanting to do an activity with, but they may not be so sure about what order things are going to happen in or how many steps there are to something. So this would be an example of if you're going to be doing an activity where, you're decorating your Christmas tree, getting ready for the holidays at home. So first we need to get the tree set up. Then we're going to put the lights on. Third, we'll put the ornaments on. And then after we do that, we might have a family tradition where we have some hot cocoa and we watch Prep and Landing. So these are nice ways to remind kids, because that only happens once a year. So sometimes, if we don't do it on a regular basis, we might forget about that, or we just might need a reminder. So you can make these sequences. And if this happens every year, make it once, and then you can save it for the next couple of years. It'll still be applicable for your family. But it's also a nice way to remind kids of holiday traditions, and start thinking about, different things are going to be happening now because our house is all of a sudden starting to look a little different because we're adding in more Christmas decorations. So that's about making a visual sequence of events. Also, I like to use paint chips. They're great if you want to work on sequencing with your kids. And if you've got readers, you can just write down each step on a different color. It's just kind of something fun. It's something easy to have around the house. I use paint chips for a lot of things that don't include picking out colors to paint my bathroom a different color. But it's just my daughter's favorite color is blue, so we use a lot of blue ones. But you can just write down the steps of what's about to happen for the day, and the person can have their paint chip as a handy reminder. So that might be that you're going to drive to Grandma and Grandpa's house. Then you're going to say hello to your family. I will see Grandma, Grandpa, Auntie Mandy, and Uncle Mike, so the kids know who they're going to go see when they get to the house. Then after we get there, we're going to eat dinner at the house with the family. And then after dinner, we'll play games. So that might be something where they just kind of need to know, okay, this is coming, but first we have to do a couple of other things before. And a lot of times too, it's who's going to be at the house when you get there. Kids just like to know some of these details. So you can add what makes an impact for your child on your paint chip as far as what steps, what information do they need to know. Another thing that's really helpful when we are preparing our kids for the holidays is to look at pictures from past holidays. Having those scrapbooks, even if now within the digital age, we don't have quite as many photo albums. I think sometimes we keep things, it's nice to have the pictures on the iPad because then we can just flip through those and be looking at those a lot. I know my daughter loves to sit and look at her iPad, and she just goes through and scrolls through pictures and just kind of relives the enjoyment of those memories. But be thoughtful about maybe this year, if you don't have anything specifically for holidays, take some pictures and really think about capturing some of those memories so that you also use that as a way to prepare your child for next year and for them to get used to what these holiday events are going to be like. So thinking about the activities that you do, such as maybe you like to bake cookies at Christmas, or wrapping gifts or trick-or-treating, just taking pictures of your child involved in those activities and other people in the family doing the activities. Thinking about talking about feelings. How did that make you feel? Thinking about the surprise. What were you thinking? Were you thinking like, I wonder what's in that, gift? Or maybe you have a big excitement on your, some excitement on your face when you're getting ready to blow out candles at a birthday celebration or something. So you can talk about feelings. And then the people, naming people. Many of our children have difficulty sometimes remembering the names of people, especially if they're not, the distant relatives they don't see very often. So having pictures of those people where you can talk about their names and preparing for who they're going to see for the upcoming event. Social stories are another great strategy to use. We use them for a lot of events, activities. Maybe you write a social story for your child if, what to expect when you're going to the doctor or what to expect when you're going to the zoo. We can also say what to expect during Thanksgiving, what to expect at Easter. So a social story is a short narrative or a story about, what to expect, how to behave, how people might feel. It's written in first person at the child's language level. So this would be, if you can use pictures, you can use short phrases, you can use just a paragraph that you write. I've written social stories on sticky notes, honestly, when I needed something really quick, and that's the paper that I had available. And I wrote out a couple of sentences for the child to understand what was happening during a thunderstorm. But you do it so that it's something that is tangible, that the child can look at over and over again. You can read over and over again to prepare them for something. So here's an example of a social story for visiting Santa. And there is a website called Autism Little Learners. It is a wonderful website that really focuses on, you'll see it's mainly like, I would say preschool, early elementary school, as far as the pictures and the clip art that they use, but basic sentences. And there's some pre-written social stories that you can just simply pull off. They have a lot of free ones for parents and for families. So you just pull it off the internet, download it and print it off, and you can use it for your child. So I want to show you an example of the Visiting Santa social story. So this is just a PDF and it's called Going to See Santa. And you can print it off. You can make it into a little booklet or something for your child. And it just says, I am going to see Santa at the, and it's obviously, I'm looking at it, I'm guessing that Santa is at the mall. It's a common place that we see Santa. So I'm going to see Santa. And then the next page says, I might need to wait in line when I visit Santa. Santa usually has helpers with him. When it's my turn, I can sit on Santa's lap or stand by him. So we also want to give kids choice. Choice is really, really powerful when you need to when you're doing something uncomfortable, that you may not be so comfortable. And, I think sitting on a strange man's lap might be a little odd for some people. So, you might just want to stand by him, and that's okay. And they'll feel like they have a little bit more control of the situation. So including some choice is important. But then I can give Santa my letter. So maybe you want to write a letter to Santa and take it. And then sometimes Santa's helper will take pictures. I can try to smile. When I'm all done, I can say goodbye to Santa. So these are pre-written, but like I said, you can make them yourself. You could add some sentences to them if you want, whatever you find is helpful for your child. At the Indiana Resource Center for Autism, if you go onto our website and you look under visual supports resources, there's a tab that says resources and then it says visual supports, and then you can choose the topic of holidays and celebrations. We also have some pre-written social narratives or social stories, but when you download ours, they're going to be Word documents. And so we encourage you to retype them to fit your family's needs. So, for example, this one is an Easter social story. It's a very general one. And it says Easter is sometimes in March or sometimes in April. Maybe your child needs to know the exact date this year of when Easter is going to happen. So you might want to change that sentence to say this year Easter will be on April 4th, Sunday, April 4th. So you can make this work for you, what activities you are going to do during the day to celebrate Easter with your family. Another thing that we tend to do at schools is when the holiday seasons are coming, that's a theme. So we're going to start talking about vocabulary at school. We're going to start talking about um, all the different, we're going to do the activities, we're going to do crafts and things. And so we're going to use a lot of the vocabulary that's around that holiday. And so one thing that we can do as parents at home is we can find some of these things on YouTube. This is an example of a Thanksgiving food song. So we can have our kids listen to those. And music is a really great way for some kids to self-soothe if they sing songs to themselves. It helps prepare them for things. It gives them a rote memory of what steps are going to be like if it's part of the song. It's a great tool for emotional regulation. So lots of things. And I can tell you, my daughter is 12 now and she still sings songs that she's learned maybe in preschool or kindergarten, and they've stayed with her. And I have a feeling when she's 30 years old, she's still going to remember some of those songs. So it's really nice to have something that you can kind of, repeat to yourself. It's soothing. Right now, she has a favorite Hanukkah song that she learned last Christmas for her Christmas program at school, and she's been singing it a lot lately because I think it's a comforting song because she really enjoyed the time when she was with her friends. They learned a dance to go with it, and so that invokes some really comforting memories for her. So she's been singing that holiday song a lot lately. So this one I wanted to share with you. This is about Thanksgiving and about food, because oftentimes Thanksgiving we have a lot of issues around food because it's a very food focused holiday. So I want to play just a little bit of it for you so you can get a sense of what it is. To eat on Thanksgiving with my family. Turkey and mashed potatoes covered in gravy. I stuffing and I love skins and apple cider. Reason we say thank you for the weekend. Friends, no one come together and say thank you for Thanksgiving Day. Okay, so and you'll also notice that there are specific pictures and there are some words that are bold in that song, and so those are the core words. So if you have a child who is using AAC, working on core words and vocabulary at school, this is a group of songs that you can get online. You can just Google Thanksgiving food song and you'll come up with some other songs as well for different holidays, and they're going to emphasize some of those core words that your child is probably working on with their speech language pathologist and within their classroom. for some AAC needs and things. So again, just you could, if this doesn't fit your family, you can make up songs that will work for your kids. Videotape them singing them. They can, or I should videotape them. Showing my age now. You can record them on iPads and iPhones, and they can listen to them many times, and that can be just another support for the holidays. Oop, okay. Since our closest holiday here, or a big event probably that we're already starting to think about with decorating when now that fall is coming, as tips for Halloween. Because now that pumpkin spice is here, we know that obviously the fall is here. Next comes Halloween and pumpkins. So some tips to think about if you are trying to prepare for Halloween. And this is a great opportunity, a great time to emphasize some differences between what's pretend and what's real. That can be a challenge for some of our kids. So we want to make sure that we use this as a learning opportunity to talk about that things are pretend that they might be seeing, and you talk about what's real. Make a trick or treat plan. If your kids are going to go trick or treating, you might want to make out a schedule for the evening, or even draw a map of your neighborhood where they can decide which houses they're going to go to. You can plan trick or treat times with family and friends. So whether it is on October 31st, or it's, on a different day, that you're just going to, drive your kids over to grandma and grandpa's house and say, hey, we're going to come at 6 o'clock, or we're going to be there at 7 o'clock, and we're going to maybe practice a little bit. Maybe it's a few days before Halloween, or just know that we're going to come at this time. So everybody's kind of prepared for what's going to happen. You also want to have your kids practice wearing their Halloween costumes. I know a lot of our kids have some sensory issues. So, thinking about the fabrics and things, they might think that something looks really cool, but then when they get it on, they're like, nope, too scratchy, taking it right off. And then they don't have a costume for Halloween. So we want to practice wearing some different things. I have found for us that the pajamas onesies are a great option because they are such soft material. There's a lot of characters now, animals, if your kid is interested in that. So those can make really great Halloween costumes, but they also last throughout the year. Because we're often dressing like a giraffe, or Disney's Sully from Monsters Inc. All year round. And this is also great for as our kids get older. And like I said, I'm saying kids a lot, but these strategies are really helpful for anyone who needs support at any age at this point. So, maybe you want to think about, someone who's in their 20s, their 30s, they want to participate in the fun activities. Maybe they're going to a costume party, thinking about what makes the most sense as far as costumes for them. Lots of times onesies, I like to wear the headbands with like a hat or something on it. So, just thinking about all those different options that are out there and what a person would be comfortable wearing. And role playing is always great. And then having a candy plan. So, again, in our house, it's already written out, because if it's not written down, sometimes it doesn't exist. Like, it doesn't mean anything. So if you write it down, that can be super helpful. So maybe the deal is you get 5 pieces of candy tonight, and the rest go in a designated candy jar or someplace where you've already labeled it at home. You know it's going to be kept, so there won't be any discussion or arguments about the candy plan for Halloween.
One of the things I would like to add
Yes.
for my oldest daughter, because she's really big into Halloween. One of the things that she had a hard time understanding was when someone's house light was on, but they didn't answer their door.
Yes.
That was a very hard concept for her to understand, and to move on to the next house. So just to kind of be aware of those things as well as you're planning your Halloween routes.
Thank you, Kelly. Yes, all of the social expectations, and every event or holiday has a different set of rules, right? So whether it's Christmas and holiday lights are on in some houses, and some houses don't have holiday lights on, depending on color schemes, right? That can throw us off, but absolutely, whose door should I knock on? How do I take those, how long do I wait at the door before I leave if someone doesn't answer the door, right? So all of those hidden, we call those hidden curriculum, or or social skills. So thank you, Kelly, for
Yeah.
bringing it up. Yes. And sometimes that's why making those schedules can be really helpful. So for example, you know which houses, you kind of prepared for which houses you're going to go to. So you could even write down a to-do list, like so I have an example in the picture, number one, put on the costume. Number two, we're going to go to Tim's house. Then we're going to go to Sue's house. Then we're going to Jack's house. Then you can eat 3 pieces of candy. Then you're going to come home, and then you can pass out candy for the rest of the evening. But you might have a child who needs to know, like, what time is it over? So we're going to pass out candy until 8 o'clock. And then we're going to turn off our lights, or we are done. So they might need a real clear, when is Halloween trick-or-treating time finished? So whatever information is important for your child, put that on the to-do list so that they can work through their evening successfully. But you can also do to-do lists for Thanksgiving, for Christmas, for, like I said, for any of the holidays. Labor Day, if you're going to go out and have, a picnic or do some activities, just make a list of those activities that's going to happen. Might be a to-do list for the whole weekend, might be a to-do list for the afternoon, depending on how much information your family member needs. And it's also, to-do lists are really helpful because that keeps the whole family on track. So we're not constantly thinking, okay, what did dad say? What did mom say was going to happen? Like, if we can all have something that's written down that we can focus on, then we all have the same expectations, and that can help us all move through the event together. Okay, so I talked a little bit about, role playing and video modeling is really great. And YouTube, I have a love-hate relationship with YouTube, honestly, because there's some not so great stuff on it for the kids to watch over and over and over again. But there are some really good things that I want my child to watch over and over again because she can learn something from it. So again, get on there, Google. You'd be surprised what you can find if you just, if you're looking for if you put in video modeling or video modeling autism, and then you could have opening gifts, or you can have trick-or-treating like this, or you might have, a birthday party or something that they can watch, or you can make your own videos yourself. But I wanted to show you an example of what this would look like for video modeling for preparing to trick-or-treat. And you can find this online.
Hey guys, happy Halloween. Today I'm going to show you how to go trick-or-treat. So the first thing you need to do is that you need your costume and a bucket. And then when you head out your house, you go to your neighbor's house and say trick-or-treat after you knock. And when your neighbor gives you candy, you say thank you and happy Halloween. And then you go to another house until it is time to go.
So this video then shows the kids practicing in this clinic trick-or-treating. And I think these are great too, because it just extends the enjoyment from that holiday, whatever special activity you're doing. You get to practice it and you get to do it a few more times. One other thing to think about when you are going places is bringing a waiting activity. So a lot of times we get there and now we have to wait on other family and friends to arrive before it's time to eat or before we do some activity. So think about bringing things that are engaging for your child, that are calming for your child, but also that are easy to transition away from. So I feel like, we all know what are those things that are really, really high interest, high stakes, and then some of the things that will keep them busy, but maybe they're like, okay, when you tell me to put it away, it's a quick, I'll put this away. So just making sure you have a variety of those things. Stop for a minute, think through what, pack a bag. We always pack a backpack in our house of what are the things that we're going to need to fill in those empty times, because sometimes when you go to a friend's house, they may not have toys and things for your child to play with, or they, you may want them to do some other things with maybe another person, maybe bring a fun game or something that they like to play that person may or may not have a deck of Uno cards, right? So you just want to make sure that you've got a good bag of activities to take with you. And then we want to consider those sensory experiences. So like I said, smells are huge for some of our kids. Lots of new foods or different foods than you typically would have. So think about maybe at your house, cooking a few of those food items as you're getting closer to Thanksgiving, maybe just a few things ahead of time to prepare so the kids are used to seeing them, smelling them. Also, if you're in an environment where there's a lot of smells and your loved one is getting overwhelmed, step out for some fresh air, take some fresh air breaks. That's a very appropriate thing to do. We need to think about that. Sometimes we need to get out of the house for a little bit, go take a walk around the block. And that can kind of help clear your senses. So thinking about smells and preparing for those. Also thinking about all the sounds, right? So bringing headphones for the 4th of July, earbuds for music, but also identifying a quiet place to go to. So if I'm at grandma's house and there's a whole lot of relatives there, I can get overwhelmed and they're all talking at once and having different conversations. So maybe we've decided that the guest bedroom, I can go back to. I can take, my iPad, or I can just go and read a book, and I can shut the door and it'll be my quiet place. So I've already you prepare your kids ahead of time. Hey, when it gets too noisy, when you just feel like you cannot answer another question because there's so much talking going on, I want you to say, maybe, excuse me, or come over to me and say, I need a break. And then we're going to go to this place. This is going to be your quiet place. And when I see you go there, I'm going to know that you're going to, you need some time. So it's really good to have that place already designated so everyone knows what the plan is. And then thinking about the environment. So if you're going to go maybe to a hotel or something, look at the pictures of that hotel so the kids know what the room looks like or what they're expecting. Visit a few times before the big event. If you're going to go to something where there's going to be a lot of people, maybe it's someone's home, if it's close by, perhaps you could go over there and your child could explore and just kind of sit for 15 minutes and kind of get used to the new living room or the new space that they're going to be in. And then identifying a safe place to hang out, right? So where can I go? Where can I not go? Right? Some things are off limits if we are in other people's homes or we're in other people's or other places where we're going. So make sure you have you've gone over those social rules again of what the expectations are for the environment, and make sure your kids know where they can be comfortable, where they're going to be able to go, where they can spend some time for a little bit. Think about the safety aspects of it. If you prepare all of this ahead of time, you as a parent then can enjoy yourself a little bit more, because hopefully you're going to be able to have that plan and you're not going to be running around trying to figure stuff out on the fly quite as much. And it's also good to let other family members in on the plan. Right? Tell grandma and grandpa what the plan is. Tell aunts and uncles what the plan is, so that if they see your child needing some help, they can support them. You don't always have to be the one to do it, but they all know that that's going to be the quiet place. So don't come in there and keep talking to them. Leave them alone. That's the purpose of it for that moment. If they need to take a walk around the block, maybe someone can offer to go take a walk with your child, and that you can stay and then you can visit with other family members. Some other things about food, and I bring up food because I know that is that's a big thing around holidays, right? We use food for all kinds of celebrations, birthday parties, all the major holidays have special meals that we prepare. So make sure that if you're leaving and you're going somewhere else and you're not at your own home, that you bring food that your child will eat. I know that, a lot of us have kids that are pretty picky eaters, and a holiday is not the time to try something new. There's too many other stressors and other things going on right now. So I always recommend that we just focus on what we know they can eat, what they will eat. Practice saying no thank you, so we can work on some manners, because you'll be offered a lot of things and you're just not wanting to try it. So we practice the no thank you. Sometimes it's helpful to bring a favorite cup or a favorite plate. Maybe you've got a kiddo who doesn't like their food to touch, right? And we're probably using some either nice china, or maybe we're using paper plates. But either way, you need a plate that has some dividers in it, and you have plates that work really well at home for your kiddo. Bring your own plate. Everyone wants people to have a good experience. So it's okay that your child has a different plate that they're using. Make a plan for when to leave the table. So this is, think about all those social expectations. When you sit down at a meal together, you have lots of conversation. Maybe the expectation is you sit until everyone leaves the table at the same time, but maybe your child comes, eats, stays for 5 minutes, and then they leave, and because they need a break, and that's just what's expected. That's okay. That's acceptable. We have a plan in place for when my child is going to leave the table and go where they're going to go and what they're going to do. You might want to bring some visuals, make some little cards of good manners or topics for conversation. You can have that at the table to help support your child through the meal. And like Kelly was saying, reviewing all those social expectations for activities, right? So sometimes we do activities with family and friends. Sometimes we do things by ourselves. And there's a time and place for all of that. What activities does your child like to do? Do they like to do crafts or games or watch movies or play the sports? And so thinking about if you've already talked ahead of time what is going to happen during the holiday activities, then you can say, oh, you know what? My child may or may not like some of that, but she really loves to do crafts. So maybe I'm going to bring with me some crafts that she can invite her cousins to do some things with us too, right? And so we're kind of planning ahead, setting up those social expectations and activities for our kids to be successful with. And then knowing that it's okay to say, I need a break from people, right? There's a lot of people time during holidays, and sometimes we just need some quiet time. And we need to be able to have those open and honest conversations with our family and friends to say, he's kind of hit his fill right now and needs some time by himself. So he's going to go over, or we're going to go take a car ride and maybe run to McDonald's, grab something to drink, and then we'll come back in a little bit. So we might need to be gone for a half an hour or 45 minutes or something. And that's okay, because that's what needs to happen for everyone to be comfortable and to have an overall good experience. We don't want to push everybody to their limit as far as how much they can tolerate during these high stress or sensory experiences. So it's okay to take breaks. Another thing, another activity that happens a lot during holidays, whether it's Christmas or birthdays, are gifts. Gift giving can be complicated. So practicing with your kids how to open gifts appropriately so it's not like torn up as they open things. I have some kids that I have worked with who really are apprehensive about opening gifts, because they don't know what's inside. It's really hard to predict what you're going to be getting. And so they find that to actually be scary, to think, I have absolutely no idea what I'm going to uncover when I open this package. So if that is your child, then have a plan in place where maybe mom rips off half of it and then you might finish it so you can be in part of opening the gift. But practice before the event. Practice taking turns. Sometimes in families, with friends, I give you a gift, you give me a gift. We don't open all, I don't open all the gifts, right? I open gifts that have my name on it. And Sally's going to open the gifts that have her name on them. So we need to practice our turns and all of those social expectations. We want to give phrases to use for thank yous. So practicing what are some things that you need to say, or if you have an AAC device that you're using, make sure everything is plugged in or programmed in so you can say the right things that you want to have an opportunity to say to people. And then what to say if you don't like the gift. That's always a big one, right? So we practice with kids how to pretend to act happy, surprised, pleased with gifts. You can just say, thank you for thinking of me. You don't have to say, oh, I already have this, or, oh, this is ugly, or I don't like this. So giving them, practicing what are some things to say around gift giving. Sometimes we need a little reinforcement to get through some tough times or some unpreferred activities, right? So maybe it's first we're going to eat and have a meal with the family, then you can have some iPad time. If you can sit through the meal and you get things done, whether that is reinforcing to your child or that's just them knowing what the expectation is. My expectation is first you have a meal and then you can have 10 minutes of iPad time or 15 or 20 minutes, and you maybe bring a timer with you and set it at the for the limit of time, so the kids know what's expected. But first then can be very helpful for some people. You also want to think about having an exit plan. So what will finish look like? when will this event be over and I can go home? I might really enjoy going to my family and seeing distant relatives and, catching up with everybody, but my child may not be so thrilled about that, or at least she might tolerate 3 hours. I might tolerate 3 days, right? So when is finished? When are we done with this activity? When are we going home? When is it going to be time to leave? Maybe it's the opposite. Maybe your child is having the best time ever with their cousins, the best time ever playing this video game with the other kids that are at the party. And so they need a prompt to say, okay, it's almost time to leave, right? Here's the expectation, because they may not want to leave so soon. And then what's the emergency exit plan, right? We all know, families know this happens, right? You've all been in a situation where you've had to leave sooner than you expected because your child has hit the wall or something has just not gone the way it needed to go and it's time to leave. So you need to have that emergency plan. What is it you're going to say to your spouse to say, it is time, we need to go? Have an agreed upon point of when you're calling it and it's done. Because that is, again, preparing for it. Planning ahead is what is going to help you through it and help all of you to have peace in mind that you did it in the best way possible. Everything happened the best way that it could go. So I encourage everyone to have an exit plan if needed. And using a countdown, like I was saying before about kids who either need to know how much longer something's going to happen, or they need to know when they're going to end it because maybe they don't want to end it because they're having such a wonderful time. So having that countdown, whether it be a timer, also thinking about if you are a young adult, maybe you need to think about your transportation, right? Did you Uber or something, or what time is it that we're going to call the Uber and then we're going to have to leave? We can't just keep putting it off once the car gets there, right? So setting a timer to say we're going to have to leave in 40 minutes, right? And that's when the Uber will be here. You can have countdown cards for the kids to say, at 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And that doesn't have to represent minutes. That can just be, they understand the countdown is going. So maybe at the 15-minute point, you put the 5 down, or you cross off the 5 with an X. And then maybe at the 10-minute point, you put the 4 down, and then you start giving them more frequent 3, 2, 1 until it's time to be finished. And then heads up, there will be a change. No matter how much I have talked about planning, make no mistake, there will be something that will need to change. Something is going to change. We have to be flexible, right? We have to plan for those changes and just know it's going to happen, and that's okay because we've got our options. We've thought through the plans for the holidays, and so we're going to be prepared. So I'm going to use this as an example. My family was out at my least favorite place in the entire world is Chuck E. Cheese. Sensory overload for me personally, let alone for my child. But we had been invited for a social event, right? So we're, we want to go, we want to have some fun with the other families and the other kids. And we had been there a couple of other times. And so we knew what to expect as far as what the environment looked like, what we were going to have to do. But it was just one of those days where my daughter was just having a little bit of a difficult time handling all of it. It was getting to be a little overwhelming. And so we needed that exit plan. We needed an agreed upon plan that we knew when we were going to leave and what was going to happen. So I quickly took a paper plate, I flipped it over, grabbed a pen out of my purse, and I made the to-do list. I wrote the number 1 there is she's going to ride the train. Then she was going to ride the horse. Then she was going to play the apple game. Then she was going to get some ice cream. And then we were going to be done. And we knew after ice cream, we were going to go home. So she just needed to know how long that expectation was for her to stay at Chuck E. Cheese that day. And that also helped us as parents who sometimes can get talking with everybody else. And, we're pulled this way and pulled this way. And so we also were able to stay on track as mom and dad. We followed the plan so she could trust that after she had her ice cream, it was going to be time to leave. I also encourage you to define fun for yourself, for your family, for your child. what are the expectations for an enjoyable time for everyone? And it's different for everyone. You know, we go to the pumpkin patch, right? And for some of us, it's going to be the fun is going to be finding the biggest pumpkin we can find. And we're already thinking and planning about how we're going to carve that and make the greatest face on it, and it's going to be great. We have other children in our family who might really, really enjoy the sensations of just rolling and touching all the gourds and just, you know, seeing the vines and playing in the hay or something like that that's what they're going to enjoy. That's what they want to come for. They're not coming for searching for this great pumpkin, right? So what is it that is, make sure you know what is going to be fun for everybody so we can make sure we do have something in mind for what's fun for everyone in the family. And then we're going to be flexible in that plan, right? So we came to have a birthday party. We have high expectations of, you know, our children interacting with their cousins or with other friends' kids. And then all of a sudden we have our child who found the most wonderful birthday hat in the whole world. And he is just so happy with it. And he wants to just walk around and wear it and share it and pose with photos for it. He just is having the best time. And that is the best day with the birthday hat. Maybe it's not, he's not engaged as much as in the games and some other things that other kids are playing, but boy, is he happy and having a wonderful time. And so we're got to be flexible. We know sometimes it's not what's fun to us, it's what's fun to that, you know, that person, and it might be different. So just I wanted to encourage you to keep that in mind. I think sometimes when we have the right mindset and the right set of expectations for our family, that relieves some of the stress and some of the disappointments that holidays can also bring for times. So finally, I just want to encourage you to remember to put your holiday event on the calendar. Make it visual, put it up on the wall, make sure everybody knows when this is going to happen. Review the expectations, review those social expectations with your child, with the person that you are supporting, and make the schedule and review the schedule for that day. What am I expected to do today? Prepare to have favorite and needed items, right? Pack that backpack of needed stuff as you go. Thinking about those items, you know, whether it be a plate, right? Who would have thought that we needed to pack plates to take to Thanksgiving dinner at Grandma and Grandpa's house? But maybe they don't have that special plate, and that's going to really make a big impact on the success that my child has. So I'm going to pack that plate. Know what the exit plan is. Know when we're going to leave, for better or for worse. You know, what's our plan, and then be ready to have fun, because we want to create fun holiday memories as a family. We want our child to remember those fun, wonderful holiday times where we take the pictures, we create the scrapbook, we create the photo albums that they're going to look through all year long, so that they're going to look forward to the next holiday event that they're going to spend with their family and friends. And with that, I'm going to say best wishes on all of the holiday events that we have coming up during this holiday season. If you ever have any questions or you need any supports or ideas or whatever, feel free to always reach out. I'm at the Indiana Resource Center for Autism. There's my email. I'd love to talk to families, and we can problem solve some things together. So, Kelly, I'll turn it back over to you.
Amy, this is amazing information. I think you just hit everything right on the dot.
Well, thank
that
you.
everyone needs to know to prepare for any kind of holiday, not just the holidays that are coming up, but for any time that you need. So
I
great.
mean, like I said, we can use this probably every month of the year.
Yes.
We need
Yes.
some of these strategies for not only our children, but the adults in their life as well.
All right. I completely agree. So thank you again, Amy, so much for this great information.
Yeah, you're very welcome.